Alright guys, welcome back. This is part 2 of the how to weathering basics that I do anyway, the process I follow. Just the basic steps that I do when I'm weathering a high horsepower, not a 4-axle. By low horsepower I mean, because there's different steps I do with these, but for the generic high horsepower CN road unit. A lot of these skills are transferable to other roads and locomotives. You can use them and manipulate them however you want. This is just how I do it, and this is just the basics of what I do. So every unit I weather receives all of these things if they're able to be done. So part 2 is going to be the panel liner. Panel liner is a type of wash, I guess. Let's show you, huh? So this is the product here. It's by Tamiya. It's called panel liner. It comes in gray, brown. I wonder if there's a rust one. That could be very helpful. I'm not sure if there is or not. But the black is what we're going to focus on today. But this product is more or less useless to me unless I have the thinner that goes with it. And that's this guy here. This is X20 enamel thinner. So panel liner is a enamel paint. It flows very, very well. It's almost like this is more or less like a wash without the wash part, I guess. The reason I like the panel liner is because it is enamel and it doesn't interact with anything else that I do. Oh dear. Anyway, so that's why I use it. I've also used acrylic washes. You can just like water down with some distilled water, a black acrylic, and throw it on there and pull all your strokes down. There's a pro tip. Anytime you're removing, applying, or anything on a locomotive, start at the top and bring everything down. Don't do sideways or horizontal or diagonal marks, or it'll show up later on. So with that said, I'm going to give you a close-up of what this turned out like. The windows. So wipers are back in. Still don't have good light for you guys. I apologize. Like I said, I'm new to this. Oh, you can see it there. Yeah, you can see it there. So it turned out pretty clean for the most part. You can see that. Wipers are back in. It looks awesome. You can just tell when you see the unit sitting like this or going down the track, when you can't see the plastic molding behind the window in there, that's where I find the realism comes from. So anyway, I'm gonna go away here. I'm gonna tape up the windows because that's what I do next. For that, I just use your basic, it's just Tamiya tape. That's all it comes in a little roll. 6mm wide Tamiya masking tape, nothing special about it. And then I do the front windows, I do the side windows. I don't do the back windows because like I work for CN, and I've noticed that the windows are always filthy, especially the back ones. Nobody cleans them. And I used to mask off the ditch lights and lights, but then I realized when I'm done with the airbrush, it puts a filter over them that looks great. So that's what I'm going to do now. I won't keep you too much longer, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, we're back. Now I have, I think I figured out the camera thing. I have you in my pouch here like a baby kangaroo. You're right in front of me, so hopefully, yeah, this should work, I think. Anyway, if I had some light from behind me, it'd probably be better, but here we go. So let's start. Okay. Tamiya, panel liner. Shake, 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 shake. You'll notice I put on the glove here, not because I'm a Michael Jackson fan, but because if I get any on the locomotive, or whatever, like if I leave the oil prints for my fingers, I already wiped down this part. It's not so bad with the panel liner because you take it back off, but when it's like if you use the panel liner and you have fingerprints, and then when you go to airbrush over top, I've noticed sometimes you can faintly see a fingerprint, so that's why this is on here anyway. So let's start. I sure say so a lot, don't I? I wonder why. I'm nervous with the performing arts, I guess. So this, see, I did it again. Tamiya, I cracked myself up. Comes with this little brush. This is right out of the top of the bottle. Sometimes I'll use a paintbrush. Generally for big stuff like this, it doesn't matter. So, all right, where do we start here? So again, so you'll see how this stuff runs. Here, I'm gonna zoom in here for you. Yeah, watch this here. So, and no, you don't have to be neat here if that's what you're thinking. Not at all. See how it pulls it through everywhere? It just runs. Like it just runs like crazy. And that's what you're trying to do here. There's no fine work with this stuff, which makes it nice, especially when you're trying to do weathering way farther up from your body than you normally do. The idea behind all of this is that we're gonna go fill all the little details and things that these manufacturers put in here. And what this is doing, more or less, is creating little fake shadows in all the divots and stuff like that. And it's okay to go overboard because most of this is going to come back off. Are you still in there? Yeah. Most of it. There's some like I weathered a CP GP38-2 I don't know, a couple months ago, and I just grabbed a paintbrush and I just went and wiped it all over it. Because when you pull this back off, it doesn't all come off in the first shot. The the thinner is very effective, but the more you put on, obviously, the more you have to take off. But like little spots like this here, like, let's see, it seems excessive, but don't worry, it's gonna look great when it's done. So anyway, this is the process behind this. You just kind of want to try and get every little crack and crevice. I should have taken the handrails off this thing, which I might do when I go to clean it up. So as you can tell right now, messy and gross, right? Ew, that's gross. Have faith. Have faith. That's what Rob Arsenault told me. Have faith in the project behind the mess. You know, every project has this ugly duckling stage, as he calls it. He's a great guy. All right. So that's this. Yeah. I guess I'll zoom out. That's basically what you do to the whole thing. This part's pretty easy. Anybody can do this. And actually, the next part is pretty straightforward too. So, I mean, I didn't do this video to show you guys all my super secret tips and tricks that make, that make people bring me their locomotives for weathering. I just wanted to show you guys this so people who have, a plethora of brand new units sitting around like, oh, I don't want to touch this $474 Canadian Scaletrains engine, that it's not that bad. It's really not. It really isn't. And this is just all basic weathering I'm showing you guys today. So it's not anything crazy. And this is why I picked the CN, because if this was a CP locomotive, all of our, let's see here, yeah, all of our little crevices and notches that we want to cover up would be through the whole car body, right? It's not just on the red part. You don't do the black because you can't see the black, but it's a CP or a UP or I guess anything else besides CN and Norfolk Southern, you have to do the whole car body, which takes some time. That's why I picked this one. So that's the process behind this. For the front, same thing. I like to, can I zoom back in here a little bit? Come here, train. Not so much on these because this is a 3200, which is relatively new, but I'll do it anyway on this just to show you. Is I like to try and just put a dab, and that's too much, but we'll go back and clean that up. I like to hit these handrail molds where they go in, because I notice they collect dirt there a lot, and you can't see what I'm doing. So I just dab these. It's kind of hard to do this far out. I'm not shaky, but yeah, I'm just touching where the grab irons go in. The more you do this, the more time it takes to pull it all back off and you're done, but it adds an effect. So yeah, just everywhere. Top of the door. My arm's extended, so I'm a little shaky. I apologize here. This is my usual position. Yeah, go around the door in there. These two. I don't clean these back off, so I just, let's see here. Sorry about this, guys. Come on. There you go. Focus. There. I just lightly go into here too, into these guys, because they do collect dirt. We don't clean these back off because you can't really get in there. But again, it just gives it some depth. And by the time it's airbrushed and it all blends together, you don't really see these lines. So you know. Anyway, that's that. I'm gonna do the rest of it. I'll go around and paint a line the rest of it, the other side, and then the back end. As you saw, I just did the 100 here. This run of Scaletrains, it already has the black lines in here. So if they didn't have the black, like the car body doors in there, you would do it, but they're already there. We'll do it anyway. It only takes a second. Okay, so I'll let you go, and I'll come back once this thing is one globby black smudgy mess, and then we'll start the magic. Okay, we're back, and here it is. It's done. Congratulations, you've weathered your first unit, and you didn't do too bad a job. Just kidding. Not funny, right? Come on, Wade, tell me what the rest of this is. I'm sure we'll hear. Okay, so this is the way it's supposed to look. You can see it, right? Globby and terrible and gross, and yeah. I did the roof too. So let's start. What you're gonna need now is a metric ton of Q-tips and about 7,496 of these little guys here, the micro brushes, which are great for everything. Q-tips, I try to roll them up a little bit so the hairs don't get stuck on there when they go in, but sometimes it happens, you gotta pull them back off. I was gonna use this one, but yeah, it's empty. And I just found the value size pack, so this stuff goes a long way. Just too far. There we go. Let's start like this. Ooh, brand new. So all you have to do is touch this to the enamel thinner, and it'll just run right up there. You don't have to like dunk it in. You can just touch the edge of it. See? And it wicks up. So, you guys ready for the magic? I'll do the best I can here. This is a weird position for me, so. All right, starting. I guess we'll start on the roof, actually, because I don't usually do that. So, you see that? Yeah? All right, here we go. I'll zoom in one more for you. Sure. So you see all the shadows, blah, 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 blah. Watch this. By the time you're done rubbing this stuff around, there's gonna be nothing left except for a very faint outline. And this is what you want. Now, the artistic part of using this stuff is to pull your lines straight down. Because if you're going like this, when you're done, that roof's gonna have that swirly mark in it. So, well, this is all you do. This is it. Get in there and get it all, try to take it all back off. See, there's that hair coming out again. Now this stuff stays wet for, it's pretty workable. I'm not gonna say, like, it's not wet for days or anything, but it stays wet for, oh, I don't know, quite a bit anyway. Maybe 20-30 minutes, I guess. So the wet, where'd you go here? The wet one with the one I've used first, I'll set it off to the side. I'll come back with a dry one, or like a new one, and then the stuff's still on the model, so you can pull it all back off. Is that a hair? It is too. This is where especially on white, you want this to be just lightly brushed down. I don't know if you can see it there. You probably can't see it. No, you can see it in the camera. But there's very subtle dark streaks up here. Like, I mean, I'm talking like super subtle. And when you're done, that's what you want it to have on here, is just these very subtle streaks. It looks like, you know, whatever, the exhaust pools up here and then runs down, and that's exactly what happens in real life. And what you're trying to do, like, I'm not artistic by any means. You might think I am, but I'm not. I just look at everything in a technical sense, I guess. So for me to weather this, to like this part, for me, I'm not trying to recreate some, I mean, there's guys out there who can see a project before it's even done. You know, they start putting paint blobs on, and then they change color and put some more paint marks on, and then they change color and put some more paint marks on, and then by the time they're done, you're like, that is just amazing. I'm not that guy. For me, it's just trying to recreate what you see, almost one layer at a time. I'm not a multi-dimensional kind of train weathering guy by any means. So, and then if you find that you're kind of like this up here, I don't know if you can see or not. You guys know it's glary. How am I gonna do this then? can't see what I'm doing, which is kind of important. I don't want to tip it too far over. I don't know if you can see that or not. I think there's a glare. A little bit. Anyway, you can always touch a new Q-tip and go back in if you need some more liquid in there, and it'll just float away with it. So if you want to, you can take it all back off. You use enough of this stuff and keep going over it. It'll all come back off. But the idea is the excess gets diluted and then becomes very, very, very fine streaks. So I'm having a really hard time doing the roof here with the camera in front of me, so it looks not too bad. But I'm gonna come back at it when I can get closer to it. So, but that's the idea behind it. What if I tilt this up in the air? Can you see it like that? I guess you can. So before, you couldn't see any of these little indents, right? Those little ledges and everything for the PTC and all that stuff. It was just molded in there, and you had to catch some dirt to be able to see them pop out. So that's the idea for that. Now, what's happening here, Zoom? Again, bear with me because I'm new. All right, this is where the real magic happens. I love this part. Let's get you in the camera. So all this stuff. Right, and this is where it's super important. Yeah, I'll start up here. So in behind the handrail, which I decided not to take off, I am going to go side to side. Just a little bit. Because there's only one there, and it's not a big deal up there. It's just catching a couple little rivets, and that's it. And as long as I look in there when I'm done, and I don't see any sideways marks, I'm happy. And again, if you do, just flood your Q-tip with some of this panel liner or the enamel thinner, and when you let go, if you surplus it, it'll actually pull it down as it dries or as it's flooding. So, all right, you ready? Always straight down, and this is the artistic part, I guess, or the part that takes a little bit of practice. So, I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't. You can't see it. But anyway, right now there's fine lines from pulling this down. This is where you can leave it. If you have a dirty locomotive or one that has more road grime on it, you just leave it. If it's a cleaner one, you keep going. If it's like brand spanking new, you just take it all back off. And the nice thing about this stuff is you can leave it on here for, well, at least overnight anyway. I've done a million projects like this. You leave it on overnight, and then you come back the next day, and the thinner still works. That's the nice thing about it. Won't break it. There you go. So these grills are usually black on these anyway. So I'm going to try and not take the panel liner out of there. I'm going to use it as my base, and then if it needs to be darker by the time it's, oh dear, in there. There you go. If it needs to be darker by the time it's done, then I can airbrush it when I do the two back, those two grills that are back in here I talked about in the first one. And if I don't, I'll just leave it. So like in here, this part here, there's not really much dirt there in real life when you check out the prototype photos. So the little bit that stays in there is really what it's all about. Just enough to make it pop. Just enough to make it not look like it's off the right out of the box. And that's all we're doing here. Oh dear, this is there. That's it. Try to zoom back out here. The lighting's not great, I apologize guys. But you can see it. Get out from underneath here. Don't break that plow off, come on. Come on, there. Zoom in, can you see it? No, not really, yeah. But from the mess it was before, if you go look at a brand new locomotive, I don't think I have any. No, they're all weathered in my stockpile here. So just those little lines, like on the white stripe and those bolts or the rivets or whatever they are there that hold the panels on, they all pop out now. You can't see it great in the camera, but from where I'm sitting, now you can see all this detail. And that's all this does. It's not so much for making a train dirty as it is for highlighting all the crazy amount of details that they put into these molds. Okay, so really, that's all it is. That's all this part is. I can show you like doing the rest of it, but really it's not gonna, there's no other techniques here. Like you get into the front or, oh dear, sorry about this. It's spinning around here, my apologies. This part's the same thing too. The only thing I'm going to do differently here is I'm going to use the little guy. That's all. That's all I'm gonna do. Use this little guy in here. I'm gonna soak him and I'm just gonna go in here around there, clean it up and keep pulling it down. And that's it, guys. That's panel liner, which makes such a huge difference. Like you can't even explain it in the camera. But I guarantee you, if you try this, this is something you can do. And as you saw that thinner, it pulls it right back off. So all I'm gonna guarantee it for is a day, 24 hours. I don't know what happens if you leave the enamel paint on for like 3 or 4 weeks, then come back. I'm not sure. But if it's within the 24-hour mark, I've done it a million times, it always comes back off. So that's it. That's panel liner, guys. I'm gonna go around, I'm gonna end this video. This will be the end of part 2 because it's getting kind of long. And then I'll come back and I think I should have time tonight, and we'll do the next step, which is airbrush. And those two little square grills on the back here, that Intermountain, I don't like Intermountain, but Intermountain paints theirs black from the factory, which I appreciate. These two here, these guys, we're gonna paint them black. And the process I use to paint these black, which is just an airbrush, a steady hand on an airbrush, and then go back in and take it off with, I use mineral spirits, not alcohol, and take it back off, is the exact same process that I've used on countless Gevos and Dash 9s and AC 4400s in other paint schemes where you have to paint them like this because they're not black. So we'll cover those grills, and then I'll go over what I use to what colors I use to airbrush. Really, it's only a couple, 3 colors I mix together in different quantities, and that's what gives me my different colors. And then after that, this guy will be pretty much done. I'll go take a look on the computer about the prototype and see if there's any cool little things we can do, if there's a fuel tank spill we should do or not, or if we should do it with airbrush, or if we should do it with acrylic brush, or if we should do it with oils. Oils are terrible and take so long to dry, but their effects are just beautiful. So I don't know if we'll get into that or not, but yeah, I'll leave you to it. When we come back, this thing will be clean as a whistle. So that's all for this one, guys. Cheers and happy modeling.